Imagine this. You walk into a bathroom hundreds of years ago, but there's no toilet paper anywhere. You have to figure out how to clean up using whatever you can find. Leaves, moss, sticks, or even seashells. Believe it or not, the rolls we take for granted today have a long and sometimes strange history. Welcome to Believe It or Not, the show where weird is real and the truth is stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Bryan. Today, we're unrolling the surprisingly wild story of toilet paper, from ancient tools to the soft rolls we use today. Long before toilet paper existed, people had to improvise. If you remember back to our episode about the first toilets, you'll recall that in ancient Rome, they used a sponge on a stick called a tersorium, which was shared among many people and rinsed in salt water. If you ask me, not very comfy and definitely not very private. In ancient China, people sometimes used bamboo, silk, or even pages from old books. I'm sure there's a few students out there who would be happy to use one of those pages. However, wealthy families had softer options. But most regular people used leaves and grass, moss, corn cobs, or seashells. In snowy regions, snow itself became an option. Imagine how chilly that must have been. Now, the first recorded toilet paper, made just for bathrooms, appeared in China in the 6th century. By the 1300s, the emperor's palace was using millions of sheets a year. The sheets were often perfumed or printed with patterns, and some were so large they had to be cut into smaller pieces for use. Europe and America didn't catch on until much later. In 1857, Joseph Gaiety sold the first packaged toilet paper in the United States. He called it medicated paper for the water closet. Now, some of you younger listeners out there might be wondering, what is a water closet? Well, a WC is an older name for a bathroom, a toilet, or a restroom. Now, believe it or not, each sheet of his toilet paper had his name printed on it. Some even believed it helped prevent hemorrhoids. By the early 1900s, rolls of toilet paper became common in hotels, homes, and public bathrooms. Factories started producing it by the thousands of rolls each day. Today, people around the world use over 36 billion rolls of toilet paper every year. Probably about 100 or so just in my house alone. But not everyone is so lucky. About 3 billion people worldwide still lack access to safe toilet paper or hygiene facilities, showing how important this simple invention really is. Now here's a fun fact for you. During World War II, soldiers sometimes had to use pages from old books or newspapers when toilet paper wasn't available. Imagine reading a chapter of a novel only to find that the next one has already been recycled. Now, it's your turn to think about our story. Imagine living in a time before toilet paper. What would you have used if nothing else was available? A chapter from a book? Your old homework? Or maybe even your sock? Also, why do you think people kept trying new solutions? Even weird ones. And finally, how do you think toilet paper has changed life for people today? Here's my takeaway. Even simple things we use every day, like toilet paper, have fascinating histories and big impacts on health, hygiene, and daily life around the world. before we wrap up our story today, I've got a little joke for you. Why did the toilet paper roll down the hill? To get to the bottom. That's it for today's episode of Believe It or Not. From leaves and moss to soft 2-ply rolls, toilet paper has a surprisingly strange history, and it's essential for billions of people every year. Join us next time for episode 86, where we'll discover how massive glaciers helped shape Long Island, and how ice, time, and nature came together to create this famous piece of land. Until then, keep wondering, keep learning, and remember, sometimes the truth is weirder than fiction.